Morning all, how are we doing? So I'm a bit late this morning. Had a few microphone problems again. Seems to be every time I plug in my VR headset, all the audio changes to the VR headset and then the microphone suddenly doesn't work, so I have to reset stuff. Good old Windows. Morning Ladder, morning Fabio. Morning everybody. Quick look at the news before we start. We had GDP for France this morning. Came out positive. Morning Diamond. We've got CPI is the flash estimates basically. So they're the forecasts. We've got CPI for the euro at 10 o'clock this morning. And then this afternoon we've got the CAD, GDP, and then we've got PCE for the US dollar. And then we've got University of Michigan sentiment as well. So a few bits and pieces today, nothing dramatic. PCE might move the US dollar. I hope it does anyway. I need some US dollar strength. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some decent figures off of that. That will give the US dollar a bit of a kick. So there's a few news items. 10 o'clock, we might have a quite slow start if you're trading the DAX this morning while they're waiting for the CPIs. I'm not sure really how much attention they're going to pay to it, but we will see. Where's Tick Strike gone? Excuse me, got a frog in my throat. There we go. So yesterday I banked a couple of percent, but I am deep in drawdown at the moment. 11.5%. Yesterday I was in about 2.5 got down to yesterday. Banked 1.3 on some of the aggressive positions, but didn't really manage to get enough in the bank to make an impact. We didn't get a massive amount of movement yesterday, and the yen basically, I took this Swiss yen on, which is not helping yesterday, and the yen's gone nuts, which is slightly worrying because the yen has been fairly dormant, but we had a good strong yen yesterday, which looked like it was going to be a temporary move, but it was a hell of a day. I mean, we got, what's that, 200 pips. So it's 200% ADRs on the yens yesterday, pretty much 175, 200 percenters. And then we got a load of yen news overnight. With positive figures on CPI and stuff, which boosted the yen further. So not quite sure what's going to happen with the yen today. Obviously, we've got ADRs already this morning on the yens. US dollar yen's already at 175 ADR. Swiss yen, obviously the one that I picked, has gone to 150 ADR. So yeah, some very, very, very big movements on all the yen pairs. All the ADRs this morning, every yen pair basically is at ADR apart from the euro. So big moves there. So I did a little bit of aggressive drawdown control this morning on a pound US dollar. There was a position I had set up already which triggered in Asia, which, let me go to M15 to be easier to see. So I put a trade on last night which was going to be a sweep of these highs there, with obviously a stop on it because it was an aggressive drawdown control position, and it took out the highs and has kept on going. We got very weak US dollar again, so yeah, not good at the moment. So I've got some plans in place, but I'll run through what I banked yesterday. Aussie CAD, had 3 positions on that. So obviously the play was push up and to fade that drop. So I got into one, got into a second position there, and then I added a position as we started to come down because it looked like we were topping out, and took all those off yesterday. And again, this morning we've pushed back up again, so glad I took those off. I'm within an ADR on this, so I'm not particularly worried about the Aussie CAD. Pound US dollar banked 1, which was again a fade. Didn't look like we were getting anywhere. We had a reversal as we hit the top of this propulsion gap. And it basically went into an accumulation, so that came off basically. I put a trailing stop on that one. As you can see, the trailing stop triggered. Because I just didn't like the price action on it. It seemed to be pushing back up again. So as it pushed back down, I put a trailer on it and it just accumulated. Now it's popped again this morning. There's that position I took off. And then I took off a US dollar CAD buy. So this was a trigger from the lows. I put that position back on again as an aggressive position this morning, which has just triggered this morning. So took that one off up there, again within an ADR. So looking at the positions that I'm in, Aussie dollar CAD within an ADR. So I need some Canadian dollar strength. We've got the CAD GDP forecasts this afternoon. So hopefully we'll get some positive GDP CAD forecasts, and that will drop and give me an out on that. Bearing in mind I'm not here next week, I'm on a holiday, so I want to get as flat as I can really today. It's not going to be very easy. Swiss yen, I've got him way too close on this. This was a scalp on a temporary pullback. You can see my positions. I'm way too close and overloaded on this, which is why I'm in this drawdown on this one. This is a stupid mistake. Might cost me. RSI extension on the hourly. So obviously the things we got going for us with these yens is they are all very extended. Very small move there, very little profit take. So off of a 150, a good profit take move today gets me out. So if I can get out and get flat and go on holiday with no drawdown, that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to go for profits on this. Pound CAD, I've only got the one on this, just initial entry position, so that's fine. Pound US, bit behind on this one from an ADR perspective. I need to catch up, so got some aggressive positions. I'll go through the positions I've got on these in a second. And US dollar CAD, again that's within an ADR, not particularly worried at the moment. And then I've got oil on, which is just, we had this push yesterday. I toyed with the idea of banking at these highs yesterday, but I think oil now, with the price action that we've got coming now, we've made a new high. So I decided to hold it and expected a pullback. We got a pullback yesterday, which is nice, and we've put in that low, which is nice. So I'm assuming I'm right with the peak formation low on this. We've broken that trend line and we've pulled back. So I'm assuming market structure shift is starting now and we're going to push up. So that's why I didn't take the oil off yesterday. I was holding it, assuming that market structure is now going to shift and we're going to come up and initially target this 102 level, 103. So I'm holding this one at the moment. I've got a TP set up there at ADR, which is basically where that initial position is. So yeah. So that's what I banked yesterday, and that's where I am at the moment. Excuse me, I'm just going to drink water. Morning, Evil. Stevie. You're not the only one needing that. Got myself into positions which are not really working. Yes. I was awake around 3 a.m. with my Swiss yen, was in profit, but I didn't close it. Oh, God. Yeah. So today I'm getting aggressive on a few things, on not everything, but my tolerance level really is about 15%. 10 to 15% is where I'm like, right, okay, we're on the wrong side of some of this stuff. The problem I've got is I'm in too close on some of these, which is my mistake, and I've just got to deal with it basically. So going through each one, Aussie dollar CAD. I've got basically on the Aussie dollar CAD, I've got 2.7 lots short. So I'm going in with a 50% aggressive position. So I'm adding it on in two parts. So initial one there is a 0.7, and then I've got a 0.7 there. So I've got 2.7 in drawdown. You can see I've got two positions too close there. One was manual, one was EA. Again, this is not helping my situation. But so that one's just triggered this morning. A push down on this one gets me into a second position, which is going to bring my average up underneath these lows. If I can get out with a break even today, that is probably what I'll do. What I'm initially going to do is use this if we get back down to here today, somewhere down towards ADR. I will take one of those off, and then I will adjust my positioning depending on what everything else is doing. So if the US dollar has pushed, the yen has been weak, and we've managed to make progress against the yen, then I'll do drawdown control where it's needed. Drawdown control, when you're doing it, needs to be done on your worst positions. So my initial position right now I'll be focusing on will be pound US dollar. By the time I've got some of these into profit, hopefully this afternoon, it may not be the pound US dollar that is needing the most attention. It might be the Aussie CAD, or it might be the US CAD, but I'll be concentrating on what has got the largest lot size on and has got the most drawdown on, because these are the ones which are, if you do go into drawdown further, those are the ones which are going to accelerate the speed of the drawdown quicker. So you need to reduce your contract size, reduce your lot sizes. That's the focus to do with aggressive drawdown control when you're doing it. So Aussie dollar CAD, that's the plan. So I'm adding 50% of my current lot size on over two positions. Good movement down on the indices this morning, by the sounds of things. Just pop those over there for a minute. So that's the Aussie CAD. Swiss yen. I've got, on that one at the moment, I've got 1.8. Now I've got 1.8 because I've taken a 0.6. So I had 1.2 on. So again, 50% of my total lot size is a 0.6. So I've done a 0.6 this morning with a view to coming up either to tap into there or to test these lows. Basically a fade of the initial move on the yen this morning. That will get me into profit on that. I will close that completely. Pound CAD. In fact, I'm just going to move my TPs to somewhere around there. Ordinarily, I wouldn't be doing this because I would just be doing drawdown control, but because I'm going on holiday, I don't want to. Got a buy stop there to get rid of that. I don't want to take this into holiday, basically. So that's all I'm doing. That's why I'm getting out with a break even on it. The pound CAD. So pound CAD is just a single position at the moment, so I'm just letting the EA deal with that. Pound US dollar. So this is the biggest problem at the moment, is this US dollar weakness. So the US dollar across the board has been very weak based on the stocks. So we've had that sort of bearish announcement come out of FOMC, which has kick-started a weak US dollar move. We've had the indices pumping as well. So we've got really good, strong movements off of the earnings across the board on all the indices, and that tends to devalue the US dollar when there's money flowing into stocks. It just doesn't get manipulated on the FX market. So we tend to see the inverse correlation with the US dollar and stock market. So that hasn't helped that pound US dollar as well. The other pound pairs, excluding the yen, haven't been particularly strong, which is good. So we've got a kind of neutral pound, which is good, because when we get some weakness, some strength starting to come through in the US dollar, it should be able to plough through the pound, hopefully. So plan on this one, this is the one that's the furthest away for me, is I've got one lot short on this. So I'm entering a 0.6 short, which will obviously bring my break even up to hopefully just under yesterday's low. So plan being is, if I can get these two positions on, is just to do some drawdown control down here. So escape all of these positions, and then I will probably cut one of those because these two are too close together, and I may reduce size on something else. But again, until you get your aggressive DD control positions actually working, you don't know what you need to do your drawdown control on, because you're going to be in a completely different situation this afternoon than you are this morning. So it's a case of just eyeballing everything and seeing where you need to do the work. But with this one, I'm just going on the reversal alert. So I want to get in quicker, just moving that up. So the positions, obviously, reversal alert, initial entry. This one is going to be, I don't want to bounce off of support. So assuming we don't bounce off of support, or we do bounce off of support and then break it, that's when that second position goes on. And then we'll be targeting the lows of yesterday. So I'm going to need an ADR push on this. And again, we've got PCE this afternoon, don't forget. So we need to use the news to move the positions. So I want to get into the aggressive positions, ideally before the news if I can, but I need these positioned ready so that if the news kicks in and the US dollar powers up, obviously pound US dollar is going to come down. I need to be able to take advantage of that move off the news, that spike, if we get one. So so that's the pound US and US dollar CAD. That's got two contracts, two lots on it at the moment. I've got one that I took down here. So this buy here, this is the one that I took off yesterday. That got added on again. So basically I put that position back on at that low, assuming they were going to do a liquidity run on the lows, which they've done. So that's got me into that position, and I'm obviously sitting right on that position now. So that's a 0.5. And then I've got, because I've got two on this, that's a 0.5 entry there as well. So a break here of the M15 reversal, that gets me into my second 0.5 position, and that will drop this down further. So I'm looking to get out of this US dollar CAD because I'm hedged on the CAD at the moment, and I want to get out of this hedge. I was expecting to be way out of this hedge way before now, because obviously being in a hedge, you expect if the Canadian dollar moves one way or the other, one of them's going to work, one of them's not. So you're going to draw down on one and manage that one, you take the profit on the other one. What's actually happened is the CAD has been flatlined for a week, and the other currencies have been pushing the CAD around. So I haven't managed to get out of this hedge. So I'm trying to get myself out of the hedge, basically. And again, all I'm going to need is something like that, and I'm out, I'm done. And the same with the Aussie dollar CAD. I had an out on that yesterday, which I didn't see because I was off doing something else, and then by the time I'd seen it, it was back up there, which is why when we got back down again, I took those off, assuming we were going to just drop, and then I was going to close that out completely. But obviously what happened was the Aussie dollar pumped. So we've just taken out yesterday's high. So fingers crossed we'll get some movement now. But yeah, waiting basically. Stevie, don't want to piss you off, but I'm currently plus 12 on the Swiss yen. Been in this for weeks. Short trade. Morning, Kennelly. Nice one. Yeah, I mean, all these yens, it's one of those. The yen, I've been anticipating, as you know, strength on the yen for ages, waiting for Kuroda to pump it, basically. And that hasn't happened. And that didn't happen last night either. We just had CPI figures coming out, which happened to be positive. But we've had these temporary moves on the yen. You know, we get these temporary pushes. And that's what that looked like. Another temporary push, and it may well be that we get that like that, and that's fine until they start changing monetary policy on the yen, it's not going to power up permanently. It's still going to be weak. The problem is, obviously, depending on which you're trading against, is going to depend on how strong or weak those moves are. The reason I chose the Swissy is because the Swissy is pretty decent strength at the moment. It's holding other currencies down, but that was just such a strong push yesterday. 200% ADR across the board on everything, really. So, but if I was you, I would start to look at taking some profit off of that one. Because we are approaching potential support if we're going to stay range bound on this. They seem to be holding the yen at the minute quite nicely with the occasional pump, which is what we've got at the moment. So, but yeah, everybody can make money in both directions. That's the beauty of trading. You can make your 12% now. I can make my profit this afternoon. That's the beauty of position trading. Having a quick look at the indices. So we're at end of earnings season. Today. So last night we had. Oh yeah, I said last night, by the way, I said in the Telegram group that the market closes at 9:15 p.m. UK time. It doesn't actually close. That's the cutoff for the prop firms. Prop firms need you to close your positions at 3:15 Central or Eastern, one or the other. But it's 9:15 in the UK. That's not when they close. That's when I need to close my positions in my futures accounts. But yeah, we had these earnings last night. I'm not going to look them up, rather because I posted them. Yeah, Amazon was up, Intel was down, and Apple was up. So potentially we might see, because these are aftermarket, we might see some bullish movement this afternoon on the Nasdaq, because we've got two tech stocks which both were very good. We've got a few today, all pre-market. But nothing massive. These are more going to affect the Dow and the S&P than the Nasdaq. So I'm not quite sure if Financial Juice has actually released those ones. They tend to only concentrate on the big boys. Yeah, no, they haven't released them. So there's Apple. Revenue up. Intel basically was down, and Amazon was up. So we've got some potential positive move, I think, this afternoon. But it depends what happens this morning with the rest. But yesterday, obviously, was good. So another bullish day. Still within the control candle, though. I want to draw that on properly, haven't I now? Move that one over. We're still holding that high, aren't we? So I'll use that one. So there's our control candle. We're poking our head out the top of it at the moment on the DAX. This level here is potentially going to be a sticking point this morning, which is come on, 13,428. So push up to 13,428, which is somewhere around there, which isn't far. So another 40 odd pips to the upside potentially, and then we may see a drop coming down on this one. So I'd like to see us close back within this control candle just to sort of put the brakes on any bull moves, but we'll see what happens with that. Nasdaq has gapped up outside, straight into resistance, which it's bounced off of, pretty much to the pit, near enough, not quite. So we've got a gap up there. Obviously, it's just been accumulating during the Globex session, which is usual. But another bull day. So we are now outside of the 72. So this, remember I was saying yesterday, after earnings, fortnight is finished, which is pretty much today. There is more earnings coming out next week, but they're the kind of the miners, if you like. We've got people like PayPal in there and stuff, but they're not as important stocks. Alibaba is probably one of the biggest out of that lot. Twilio, got Virgin Galactic. God, I didn't realise they'd been listed. Uber, pretty big. So there's a few that might impact it next week. But where we are now, obviously, we've poked our head back out as we did back there before the next flush. So potentially we're looking for a repeat. There's no signs of us not going into recession. So there is no real reason why we should get a bull run on the stock market at the moment, apart from obviously on earnings, which is what we're getting at the minute. So we're tapping into support and resistance. That's a very strong support turned resistance. That's exactly where we're tapping into now. So I'll be looking for shorts today on the indices, but we may well get a little push out the highs on those earnings from yesterday and from this morning's pre-market. So we'll see what happens, but I'm looking for it to push back down again and start the next leg down. And I think we might get some really decent sized flushes coming in, some big candles when it starts. So if we see a trend move starting, I think probably that is a good time to jump on board and try and hold on to the train, basically. S&P, similar thing, we've gapped up. S&P, we've got this level of support resistance, which we looked at. We closed above it yesterday, and we've gapped up today. So again, if we can get a close down next week, really, I think we should start that bear run. And as I say, probably get some big moves to the downside in. But today's, again, might be another bull day. It's very difficult to tell. So you just got to kind of play it with a pinch of salt and go with where the market is going. So pay attention to price action, pay attention to delta if you're trading futures, and trade in line with the way that the market is going, because it's likely to continue that. Tick strike is incredibly useful in these types of situations, because you're constantly hearing positive, 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 positive. It puts you in a positive frame of mind, basically, to go long. If you hear it going red and you constantly hear it going red, you need to be short. So it's really useful in that respect for just giving you that bias. At the moment, we're longs, obviously. So big moves there, and the Dow obviously did the same thing. We've got that support resistance area as well on the Dow up here, which we're kind of around at the minute. So everything is getting to a potential bounce point after this bull run. This bull run's been pretty good. Longer than I expected it to go on. I didn't expect us to get back to the 72, to be honest, on a lot of these. So, yeah, done better than I thought. But, obviously, recession is on the cards. The market is not happy. So, I wouldn't bank on that carrying on into next week. Oil, obviously, we looked at coming along on this one at the moment. It's pushing up nicely this morning. So, hopefully we'll get some decent continuation on that, looking basically for these highs to get broken today, which is what I was just showing. So looking for the market structure to hold and put a new high in. ADR push would be nice on that one. So that's all of those. What happened to Bitcoin yesterday? Bull day. Bull day into a double top. So yeah, but again, the market structure on this, again, we are temporary bullish, as you would expect, because the stock market is bullish at the minute. So it doesn't mean it's going to hold. It just means at the moment people are buying stock because Good earnings. Stevie, got stuck in drawdown for weeks, taking more than 2 trades on one currency. A line available lesson you gave about only limiting risk to 2 trades on one currency, yeah. But staying in this to the monthly low. Yeah, it's that's how you learn. But you don't learn. This is the trouble with trading. I've not learned, have I? I've got too many positions too close together. You'd have thought I'd have learned by now. But you get this water, and it happens to everybody. You get this walking on water scenario, which happens very infrequently, thankfully. But you get a good month. Now, you know, I've almost 17.5% month this month, and you get cocky, and you suddenly think, well, everything I touch is turning to gold at the moment. And then what you'll do is you'll go, like I did with the Swiss yen yesterday, you'll go, oh, well, it's not going to go much further than that, is it? And then all of a sudden it goes boom, and you're like, yeah, I remember why I don't do that. And that is where you suddenly then have to go, right, and you take a 6% loss or something and go, I'm not going to do that again. And you won't do it again for 3 or 4 months. And then all of a sudden you'll have that walking on water moment again where you'll go, I'm invincible. And then the market will always turn around and teach you a lesson, kick you in the arse, because that's what the market does. And, you know, it's just one of those things. And you will still, it doesn't matter how long you trade for, you will get caught occasionally. And it happens. Morning, Themba. So let's have a look at where we are with everything else. So obviously yens at the moment, ADRs everywhere. Because we've had the positive CPI off the yen overnight. What I'm going to do, I'm not logged in on here, hang on 1 second. Because these CPI figures for the yen, yellow. I don't know why. For some reason, Forex Factory and most calendars don't include the yen in red news. They just think, I don't know why they don't include the yen in red news. It's one of the major currencies, and yet they just don't bother to do it. So I'm going to set these up as alerts on Forex Factory so that I get notified about them. Because they are market affecting news, but for some reason and what was retail sales? What did that come out as this morning? As expected. Oh, wrong one. What am I doing up there? Retail's negative, okay. CPI, yeah. So I've got an alert now on CPI for the yen. And I will make that a 2-hour warning instead of a 1 hour. So if you didn't know, you can click these little signals, and when you log in, which I'm not logged in, but when you log in, it basically will ping you an email and a pop-up on your desktop, just to let you know. Yeah, the problem with yen news, Stevie, for me, I use obviously Financial Juice as well, but the problem for me is I'm asleep when the yen news comes out. So I don't get a chance to prepare, and it just doesn't come up on my radar because it's yellow. I should leave the yellows on, shouldn't I, really? The trouble is then you get this massive great calendar, but yeah, should really have it open just so we can see these yens. There was a big move off of that yesterday, wasn't there? So yeah, so all the yens are pushing back so far this morning. Just had a reversal on the Aussie yen, CAD yen, reversal at 125 ADR, Swiss yen. Haven't had the reversal alert yet. I've got into my aggressive position on it, so yeah, that's good. What are we going to do with this today? Can we get up to there? I don't know. I don't know whether to try and take advantage of a V-shaped recovery on this. Because if we are going to get a decent recovery on it, there's profit to be had there, and I kind of need profit at the minute. I'll leave it as it is and monitor it. I'm going to be monitoring it all closely this morning anyway. Pound yen, we're just about to get an alert. Had an alert on M5, so I was on the wrong time frame then, wasn't I? Swiss yen, we still haven't had it. CAD yen, we have. New Zealand yen, just had the alert at 100, and US dollar yen way deeper at 175. So obviously because we've got that weak US dollar at the moment, and we've got a strong yen, this one's moved the furthest. So this is a good example of currency strength when you've got the US dollar, which is massively weak, against the yen, which has obviously had a very strong Asian session. You get the biggest distance travelled because you've got weak against a strong, which is why we try to trade with a bias like that. So that's the overall bias, or was the overall bias before FOMC. And that's where you would expect to see the largest moves in the opposite direction as well, when the US dollar powers up. If the US dollar powers up. Hourlies, no surprises. Everything is yen based, apart from the US dollar Swiss. So US dollar Swiss has moved down and has got extended. Again, big strong move, US dollar Swiss. Remember we were looking for this support level. Yeah. We're down below that support level. Look at that on the 4 hour. We haven't had a bullish candle really for, I mean, that's a doji, but sort of bullish. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 solid down candles, massively extended on the 4 hour, getting close to the deepest extension we've had on this. That was the Swiss rate announcement. So yeah, potentially looking for the same rounded bottom as we've had before, somewhere down here. We are putting in lower lows, so there is a little bit of room to move. Let's just have a quick look at where that currently is. There. So still got a little bit more downside potential on that. But yeah, looking good for long opportunities on US dollar Swiss. Very deep. So yeah, that's your hourly extension. Obviously US dollar yen is massively extended on the hourly. It's no surprise, obviously we got the ADR hit, so it's double ADR hit on the yens basically. 2 down days solid. One of two things is going to happen. We're either going to get the V-shaped recovery or we're going to get a pullback drop. Either way, there's long opportunities on the yens. 4 hours, we've got quite a few, again, mainly yen-based. CAD yen. So CAD's just approaching potential support. So we've got this support here, which we've just tapped into again. So again, not quite 150, but 125 ADR hit on the CAD yen. We've got CAD news this afternoon. We've got the CPI figures for the CAD, the GDP figures for the CAD coming out at 1:30. So there's potential opportunity for positive CAD movement there, which obviously will give us a move back up. Where we're coming to, difficult, but you should get a decent run up, assuming we get some positive CAD news coming in. Swiss yen, again, I'm in this one already, as you know, so I'm just looking for some positive moves. Come on, Swissy, don't do this. Euro pound. So euro pound, I got into this on my other account. I haven't got into it on here, but I've taken it on my Forex funds account. Just like this level that we're at the moment on this one, we've pulled back down. We're very, very, very nicely extended. Last time we got down here, we had a lovely pullback with some euro strength. So, and you know, every time we've got this deep, we've had, you know, some decent pushes off of these levels, because the euro and the pound is quite a small ADR, but because they're, we're close trade partners, Euro and UK. Both currencies at the moment aren't doing particularly well, so you get a lot of range-bound activity and a lot of chop. So I kind of like this at the moment because every time we've had this extension recently, for the last 6 months or so, we've had a very decent bounce off of it. And we're coming down to an area here where we've got a fairly decent support resistance area where we've had reactions multiple times, and we're also coming into this range where this is an area of balance where we were quite happy to conduct business previously before we had the run up, and we've just basically come back down into this zone. So this is just somewhere I feel that we're going to get at least a bounce, if not a good sort of attempt to run up. We've got rates increased on the euro, so there is potential for strength on the euro, although the market has obviously rejected those rates and pushed it back down again. So yeah, it's an interesting level for me, and it's a very, very nice deep extension. We've tested it and we came down again, so I've entered a long position on this one with a view to holding it back up sort of towards these lows, but I really like that one. So it's the only thing really that's not yen based apart from US dollar Swiss, and I think it's ripe for the pickings at the moment. So like the look of that one, euro pound, and obviously it was extended way below 20, so it was lit up over here, but only temporarily, because as soon as we got down there we've rejected and pushed back up again quite hard. We've got the US dollar Swiss, again, coming down to this level. So we've looked at this one already. We're starting to get a little bit of positive movement on this one, but this is a nice buy zone down here. So we've got this area of support and this area of support. It was an accumulation in the past as well, which is good. We've also got this level here, which has been tested twice and rejected, which we're coming down to, which is around about 100 to 125 ADR today. So if this doesn't go from here and start a profit take move, we've got a very good level there to look at as well. So very, very extended, and again, every time we get down here we're getting a decent push, but the US dollar obviously has been quite shocked with the FOMC bearishness, and the rate announcement didn't seem to do anything positive for it. Same as with the euro. Market is not impressed with the banks creeping rates up. They want it fast, and it's not happening. So we need the US dollar. I think next week is really when things are going to start to settle down, because we've got earnings quarter at the moment. There's a lot of speculative money being pumped into the stock market, and the FX market's suffering. We're just not getting the manipulation on it. So hopefully next week, if we don't get any end of month rallies today, then we'll see some movement. So yeah, bear in mind obviously today is the last trading day of the month. We're July as well, aren't we? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, first month of the quarter. So we may well see some big moves this afternoon as we get the end of month balancing books, targets to be hit. So we might see some big manipulations from the banks this afternoon. So we'll see. But we've got news catalysts to kick it off at 1:30 pre-market. So we shall see. And US dollar yen obviously massively extended down to 175 ADR today. We're 80. We're below 20 on the RSI. We've got this level of support, which potentially we may be reaching for. We've got a nice level of resistance as well, which could well turn into support there. So if you're not in this I liked the look of this yesterday. I love the look of it today. But I'm exposed on the US, so I couldn't take it yesterday, and I can't take it today either. So like it as a long, definitely. But we will see. It's a perfect storm at the moment, this one. Weak US dollar, strong yen. But obviously the yen is not off of fundamentals, it's off of news, which is fundamentals, but it's not off of a fundamental shift. They haven't done anything with the bond purchasing. So there's no reason this should be sustained yen strength. The US dollar, though, we have still got a question mark over it. Market's not been happy since FOMC. We need to see some signs of strength coming through. So there's lots of opportunities out there, but most of the stuff is yen based at the moment. So it's whether or not you've got a bullish or a bearish bias on the yen at the moment. And if you obviously you are trying to mean revert, then there's a lot of setups out there at the minute. But just make sure you don't overload. Pick one or two. In fact, at the moment, I'd probably say pick one to be safe, just in case. 2 down days on the trot. Looking at the daily chart, that's the biggest day we've had for quite some time, followed by so far today. But the nice thing is today's move has been done before the London Open, and we've got New York as well. So there's potential for us to turn that into a hammer, you know, today. So, but there's also potential for them to come down and test support. So yeah, lots of opportunities. Has anybody got anything else they want to look at? Any other pairs? So what's going on with this stock? Whoa, there we go. Thank you very much. Take that. Negative stocks today would be lovely because that might help us get the US dollar up. But big strong move to the downside on the S&P. What's the others up to? Bit of a sell-off on the DAX, not quite as aggressive as the S&P and the Nasdaq. See if they can hold that today and get a down day. Roku. No movement on Roku. On Intel, where's Apple gone? So they bought up Apple. That was bullish. So there was a lot of buying on all of these yesterday. So we may have done the move yesterday. We may well get a bear day today. Yeah, they're all bullish yesterday. So we might get a bear day today because this is all that's going to affect the market today. These guys and these guys. We had bullish moves on yesterday, so preemptive, I would say. So I think the door's open for a short today. We'll see. Let the market tell you. We're basically back to the opening price on the indices. Just looks like it's down move because they pushed up first. Yeah. Stop run to the high of the pre-market levels. And a drop, but not very. There's not a lot of volume at the moment. The DAX is obviously what we need to be watching because this is where the majority of the volume will go, and we've just had that one down candle and an inside bar, so we need to see new lower lows being put in and lower highs, but it doesn't seem particularly dramatic this morning, does it? Not a lot of volume going through there, so we will see. How's everything else doing? Not a lot. Not a lot of movement. Oil's pushing up a little bit, but everything else so far in London we're pretty sideways. Pound US is coming down nicely, so that aggressive position obviously is in profit, just about to trigger the second one hopefully. Odd CAD's just coming down nicely as well. Yeah, good sell-off this morning. Looking promising. So if we get a down day on the stocks this morning, we should hopefully get some US dollar strength showing through. What will happen to the yen though? Difficult to tell. So we're just double bottoming now on the Swiss yen. Virtually no risk on it. If the double bottom is going to hold, there's virtually no risk on that, and it gives me a very quick out. It's worth a $40 shot on the double bottom there. So that's actually a triple bottom bounce we've got going on the Swiss yen. If we can get a bullish engulfing on that, we'll get some buyers stepping in on that W pattern. Reversal alert and off. It's worth a shot. But I'm going to be monitoring this. I've got my left-hand monitor up at the moment with all the pairs that I'm in, watching the 5-minute charts. So I'm just basically watching the 5-minute charts for decent price action that I like that I can jump in on, and try and get some aggressive positions on. I normally wouldn't be this aggressive. It's just because I'm off next week. I don't want to spend all of next week on holiday monitoring the charts twice a day. If I can get myself down to a decent drawdown level, I've got 17.5% of profit in the bank. I'm quite happy to cut 5% off today, just so I can have a nice holiday. So if I can get my drawdown down to 5% today, I might just cut the lot and just have a nice relaxing week. Or what I might do is just cut half of it, take 2.5% loss, and just reduce the drawdown on everything, just to make it easy to get out of everything. Just get everything down within an ADR, basically. But yeah, multiple squeezes, multiple positions too close together. Always fun. So if nobody else has got anything else to look at this morning, that's really all I've got for you. I'm not going to go through all the pairs again. Not much point in going through everything, but just watch for levels, and we've got some RSI extensions now coming through. Watch your hourly RSI extensions, and obviously ADRs. So everything's starting to sort of come to life a little bit, but unfortunately in the wrong direction for me at the moment, because the US dollar's decided to give up the ghost for the moment. So just waiting, and hopefully that catalyst this afternoon is going to give us that kick. So don't forget that 1:30 this afternoon PCE. That's the last news of the week. I'll do a quick overview of next week's news as well, obviously because I'm not here next week. But we've got some big numbers coming in next week, which you need to be aware of. Which is another reason I kind of want to get flat, because I don't want to get caught the wrong side of rates coming out against me. But we've Tuesday next week, we've got the Aussie rate. There's no forecast. The forecasts don't come out until Sunday. But they're 1.35. We got an increase as forecast last time with 2 previous unforecast increases. So there is potential for a bigger than expected increase coming there as well. We've got on Thursday, we've got the UK rates, 1.25 was the June figure, which was as expected. So the Bank of England's been doing basically as expected. The initial one that got us out of the 0.1 was the surprise, and since then everything's been pretty much stock. So potential a little bit of strength coming through on the UK next week. But as we've seen, if they come out as expected and the market is not happy with that being good enough, it doesn't make any difference, as we've seen with the US dollar. So a bigger than in forecast increase will be very positive for the currency. As expected, could be positive, but also could be negative. So as expected rates, really, we would usually expect that to be a sign of strength, but at the moment it doesn't seem that the market is taking that into account, as we saw from FOMC. So, you know, bear that in mind. If it's green, then it really should be green and we should get a decent push. If it's as expected, don't expect the market to be happy about it. And on Friday next week, we've got all the unemployment and then non-farm payroll. So I'm not back until mid to late afternoon on Friday, so I'm going to miss non-farm. But obviously that is a big spiky event, as we know. So that's what you've got looking forward to next week. So there's a lot of news next week. Every day we've got red news, apart from on Monday. I know we got PMIs on Monday for manufacturing. And it's a Canadian bank holiday. Civic Day, wherever that is. So yeah. So bear that all in mind next week. 2 big rate announcements. It's going to be a big week again. But it's also summer trading, so you've got to be aware that there is going to be slightly lighter liquidity at the moment as well. So light liquidity equals big moves and slippage. All right, so that's all I've got for you today. I'll post in the Telegram group any positions that I'm getting out of, but I'm going to be watching everything like a hawk obviously today, trying to find some aggressive opportunities. So plan really for me, as I say, is I'm monitoring the M5 charts for all of these. I'll be looking for double bottoms, I'll be looking for reversal alerts and retests to give me tight stop entries. So, you know, happy to chip away at my account, $40, $50, $60, $70. If I lose 3 or 4 of those in the trot, the one that I get on is not going to be a problem, because the one that I'm going to get on is going to get me out with a nice profit. So it's just a case of looking for those opportunities on small time frames and trying to get into them quickly. And as they move, with aggressive drawdown positions as well, as they move, let's say this one moves up to there, my stop comes up and protects that position. So again, I get break-even stop outs on these quite often, but it's better than getting lots of losses. So when you get that move that gets you into profit on the position, I move to break even fairly quick on them, because they're big positions. I don't want to be sitting in drawdown on big positions. I'd rather be stopped out at a break even than have to take a loss on these bigger ones. So but the expectation is, with aggressive drawdown control, when you get one of these positions on, they work. The reason they work is because you are so extended on the higher time frames. You've had such a strong move that you are due a profit take. So they tend to be faster moves back to the upside. And this is, like I said before, it's very difficult. And I always get asked, when do you start doing aggressive drawdown control? When you see the aggressive move against you is when you do the aggressive drawdown control, because after 2 solid down days like this, that market is going to want to have some people getting out of positions. And there's a lot of people going to be trying to fade the mean reversion. So you get a lot of buying pressure, and with a lot of buying pressure comes a fast move. And that's when you pounce, when you've had that really, really big extension. So lots of opportunity out there today, but also obviously it's a tricky situation. So thank you, US dollar, for not being so bullish. Right, so I'll be back on not next week, the Monday after, normal time, 7:50. I will be hanging around in the Telegram group though, so I'm always in there, and even when I'm on holiday I'm in there, because a lot of the time on holiday you're kind of relaxing and chilling, and I have my laptop with me. Never really stop looking at the markets. But I will not be in there as much. So if you've got any positions you're already in trouble and you want help with, obviously feel free to DM me, not a problem. We can look at where you are and what the best things to do are. But as usual, look at levels where we're expecting to get bounces from, and those are where you're getting aggressive, if you can find those. Or if you've got a very big extension, let's get out of them when we're very extended, as we are at the moment on some of these pairs. Okay, so have a good afternoon. Hopefully it's a profitable one today. Bear in mind the news, 1:30 is going to be potentially a mover for us. And yeah, I shall have a lovely holiday, hopefully. Not going anywhere, staying in the UK, but not working, which is always good. And I will see you in a week's time. But as I say, any issues, come in the Telegram group. And hopefully have a good week with the rate increases next week. Have a good time, and I will see you then.